Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving the nicest 996 I've ever seen or even driven. This is the 2005 911 Turbo S, and that S really actually means something, especially back then, because this means it's got extra power. The Turbo S came standard with the bigger upgraded K24 turbos, so this 3.6 liter flat six twin turbo makes 444 horsepower and a little over 450 pound-feet of torque, getting it to sprint to 60 in 4.2 seconds with its all-wheel drive. You'd know that before the Turbo S moniker came out for this car, there was the X50 option package for the standard turbo, which gave you the same upgraded turbos and power, but this S comes standard with PCCBs, the yellow calipers give it away, so you got carbon ceramic brakes, and a 6 CD changer in the frunk. Now, the 996 is sometimes unloved. It's the much maligned middler because it's the first of the water-cooled. Not everybody loved the style of the headlights, but there's something about this car that opened speed to everybody, because at one point these were very affordable in the used market. And if you wanted to do baller gumball rallies but didn't have F50 money, this car could keep up. It was pretty incredible. This one's finished in basalt black, and it's wild because this is the wide body. You get the scoops in the back. It has 295 section tires at the rear, but you'd almost not notice this because things are so outrageously wide and large today that this actually looks kind of small. In addition to that, the suspension, which is a little stiffer than the standard Carreras, well, it's also a bit tall. So I do think that people probably stance these out a little bit. I love the turbo twist. These wheels look fantastic. You've got a 225 section tire up front. Like I said, a 295 section in the rear. So it should be able to handle all of the power that these turbos throw at it. Inside, standard fare, you've got Kinder seats in the rear, but really lovely. This is what I mean when I say this is like the nicest 996 I think I've ever seen. Everything is perfect. The seats, the leather, there's a little bit of creasing on this, but just to say that like a few people have sat in the car. It was obviously taken very good care of. And then down there you've got the Turbo S between the heated seat buttons, a 6-speed manual gear shift, standard pattern, no funky dog legs or anything weird like that. And of course a key on the left. Let's take a look under the hood. So back here, you have the wing up at the moment, but this will go up and down at speed. Very cool, and you can see the actuator down here when we open this up. These big guys right there reminds me a lot of the SL65 Black Series, honestly, the way that kind of pops out. And then there's your Metzger. So this is really important because if you're not a Porsche aficionado, you still probably know that GT cars and turbos did not have IMS bearing issues because they were a different engine. These were Metzger engines. Metzger engines were genuine racing engines that then made it into street cars, and that made them a little more robust. And that's why you can throw all kinds of revs at the GT3, all kinds of torque at the Turbo S and GT2. It just takes it, and it takes it reliably, which is the coolest thing about this car, is that it is basically supercar performance with completely reasonable maintenance. Under here, we've got some frunk space, as we'd expect, nothing special. We've got our battery tender right here. And then over here, we're not gonna put up the windshield in the back, that little windscreen, just because it's annoying and I think it diminishes the look of the car, but it would probably be more comfortable with it. And there's your fabled 6 CD changer right here. Doesn't look like we've got any tunes to play with today. So anyway, let's jump in and take this for a ride because I love these things. These are such a joy to drive, and it's fun to go back and remember that these actually are still fast in 2025. You don't quite get the bank vault doors that you would have gotten on the 993 in previous generations, but the 996 marked a pretty massive change into the performance world and into the power world, because today, my goodness, you can go absolutely crazy in a 0 to 60 over and over and over again in a 911 Turbo S. So let's get it started. Key in ignition, and this is how you can tell this car is like ultra fresh in less than 5,000 miles. Even the ignition, it feels like it needs to be broken in. Like it's got a little bit of resistance to it because this key hasn't turned that many times. And that's nice. We've started it up with 4,911 miles. I like that number. It retains its 5-gauge pod cluster with the tack front and center, and then right down here, you can scroll through different things, but it gives you the turbo pressure in bar, which I do wish was a gauge, because turbo pressure looks much cooler on a needle than it does in a number, but that's fine. We're not gonna complain, we're gonna enjoy. These turbos, they don't make crazy sounds. I think even the Carreras sound better than these cars, but what they lack in that maniacal flat 6 song, which it still has some of, it's a little muted because of the turbos, it certainly makes up for in its torque, because it just wants to run. Once the boost builds, the sound changes, it starts blaring, things get wild. And I love the way this car just sits on its rear haunches and accelerates. Oh my God. It feels fast today, and this is a really remarkable thing, because 2005 speed versus 2025 speed should be very different things. And yet I still get in this and think like, wow, that's a fast car. And something for the owners out there, if you've got a 996 and you're thinking, hey, my clutch catches a little high. Yeah, they do. That's kind of a Porsche thing. Like, this is a minty fresh one, so if this one catches a little high, then it's probably safe to say that your 100,000 mile 996 turbo, if that catches a little high, it's just the way they were. It's just the way they are. I found the same thing on 993 RSs and the like. Just find a top-down Carrera S from the next generation. Oh, very cool. Well, he's gonna make the light. We're not. But, oh, man, if you are a GT driver, if you spend time on highways, if you like going really, really, really fast, these are just outrageous. And you don't have to spend Turbo S money. This is perfect. This is the car I would want. This perfect Turbo S. And back in the day, I never would have really looked at a cabriolet, because, well, no, you need the stiffer coupe, and I want it to be the track thing. It doesn't matter anymore, because cars have gotten so fast, they're so ridiculous. Now I'm like, you know, this is pretty fun to have a top-down experience in a car like this. I swear, convertibles age better than you'd expect them to. Because sometimes you're like, wow, I'd never have that convertible E46 M3. Today, absolutely. I don't need the car to be a track monster. I just need it to be a blaring 8,000 RPM monster. Patience, grasshopper. And just like that, you're in for the kill. It's crazy. A blinker would be nice. Suspension-wise, for Grand Touring, I mean, oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so easy to get on the road and just enjoy yourself. I don't feel like the car is going to shatter around me. You can hit some bumps with reason, and it absorbs it well. But at the same time, it's also balanced on its pitch, dive, and roll, whether you're on the brakes heavy with these PCCBs, which can handle repeated stops, on the power, which is going to squat the heck out of this thing, but still not unwieldy, will avoid these bumps. And the roll is just perfect because you don't want a car to be too stiff. You want some body roll so you know what's going on with the car. And this engine, it's plenty responsive. It's not quite a GT3 in that regard, but it's still really pleasurable to rev match and fiddle with. And for fairly early carbon ceramic brakes on a street car, these are just so usable on the street. Sometimes that's an issue where you get the nice brakes, the expensive brakes, and these are very expensive brakes, but then, they don't have any bite until you get some heat in them. Well, that's not the case here. They actually just feel fantastic. The nose gets a little light when you get on throttle. I mean, you really got to be thinking about weight transfer. Like, if you're on power and turning, there's got to be some delicate balance there because you're going to start pushing if the turn is too aggressive. So you have to think. Your right foot matters a lot in this car. What's amazing is how light and easy all these controls are. I mean, think about this as reasonably big power, especially for 2005. And it doesn't have this big weighty clutch that's hard to operate. The gear shift feels perfectly fine, like a normal Carrera. The steering is light. It's obviously power assisted, but it's tactile, it's hydraulic. You get all the I feel everything, all the feedback through the road. And it's so funny because today, everybody is trying to give the impression of a sporty, tactile steering experience, but what they're doing is wrong. They're adding weight. So for example, you get into a BMW M2, you put it in comfort mode, the steering's a little light. You put it in M something mode, Sport Plus mode, the steering gets a little heavier. But what you didn't gather was any more texture from the road. And I can actually tell, eyes closed, I'm not going to because I'm driving, but eyes closed, I can tell you what the surface of the road is like through my fingertips. And if anyone's telling you, why are you buying older cars? You can have something new, because this is still going to be a pretty expensive, six-figure car at the end of the day. Well, sometimes steering feel is worth the money. I feel like if there's anything I've taught you, it's that steering feel is not derived by steering weight. This car has no business being this easy to drive and this fast. This is how turbos became luxurious daily drivers. If you look at who's driving a turbo versus a GT3, a lot of times it's like an older gentleman driving the turbo. And it's just a car that they use regularly, almost every day. And it's amazing how it can do both things so well. 911s are also pretty inoffensive cars. I mean, sure, Porsche can have a reputation for being like, oh, that's the uptight jerk lawyer or whatever. I think that's kind of gone. I think Porsche has become a little more ubiquitous in the world now because everybody drives a Macan or a Cayenne. So I think that's gone away. But 911s are able to sort of perform at supercar levels like this, but without sort of the air of a Ferrari or a Lamborghini that makes you look like you need to be seen. That's a special place to be. So look, I fully understand if you're not behind the 996 thing because of its appearance. I'm personally not offended by its appearance. I actually like them. They've grown on me a lot over the years, but I can't change your mind. That is 100% in the eye of the beholder. But if you're someone who doesn't like the 996 because of its performance, well, then you are simply incorrect. These things are unbelievable. And because there are those who don't love the appearance, it means that you can usually get them at a reasonable bargain. So that's cheap performance. This car, 20 years later, still incredibly fast, incredibly beautiful, and if they are properly maintained, the seats look nice and plush, the buttons haven't worn away their little icons. This is incredible. I love getting in this car. I love driving this car because it's tactile, it's fast as heck, it gives me a laugh, and it just feels dialed in. You know, Porsche, for all their trials and tribulations in this sort of time period, they still knew how to make a damn 911. So thanks to you for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and thanks to Bond Group for tossing me the keys to this minty fresh 911 Turbo S Cabriolet. And maybe, yeah, don't get the Tiptronic. You want this. Anyway, don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see ya in the next one. Ooh, little squeak, little squeak. At one point, Porsche had to put out a little APB to say, hey, you know, squeaking brakes happen when you have really good brakes. It's okay to have squeaky brakes. Don't keep coming to the shop saying your brakes squeak. We know.